Hold on.
Josie started the broadcast.
That's okay. I'll figure it out.
Oh, you were muted. Did I do?
All right, there we go. Hello, everybody. My name is Angelo Gargaro, and I am the Director of Student Conduct at Point Park in the Office of Student Affairs. My role here today is just to facilitate this webinar with the Center for Student Success and the Dean that oversees the Exploratory Majors. So it is my pleasure to kind of introduce everybody and let them go around and give a little bit more information on who they are. So we have Molly McClelland, who is the Assistant Vice President of Academic Affairs, Cathy Houghton, who is the Success Coordinator for the Exploratory Majors, and Dean Dr. Josie Brown, who oversees the Exploratory Majors as well. So Molly, why don't you go ahead and kick things off and introduce yourself?
Will do. Thank you, Angelo, and to everyone who is here tonight. So I just wanted to introduce myself. Again, as Angelo said, my name is Molly McClelland. I'm the AVP of Academic Affairs, and I oversee the Center for Student Success and work with a wonderful team of people who really helps students to transition to Point Park University. That's kind of the work that you'll be doing with us most recently, and then also to support students during their time and through their graduation as they figure out who they are and what they want to do and be in the world. And so there is no better audience for that than the Exploratory Majors. I think that most of us on this call, including those of us who represent the Center for Student Success and our panelists, are always exploring. It's just the nature of life and the nature of the world. The curious will survive and keep moving forward and keep growing and developing. And those who don't will find themselves in 20 years in a career that they're desperately trying to get out of and coming back to school anyway. So we do know in what is, really a passion for this work, that there's a good percentage of our students that change their majors, that many students are undecided, even if they are or uncertain or exploring or figuring it out, even if they've declared something at the start. And in many colleges and universities, that's the standard, that you come in and that you don't declare before you have an opportunity to really get to learn and see and feel what the university is about, and to take classes with the faculty, and to figure out, where you find yourself fitting. And that's the spirit of Point Park and the spirit of what we're going to talk to you about today. So the Center for Student Success is a comprehensive hub for students to kind of figure out where they need to go when they don't know where to go. So we are the home of registration, so students figuring out what classes to take and how those apply to various majors across the university is something that you would come to the center for. We also have a range of support services that include tutoring, writing support, academic coaching, accessibility services. So all of those supports happen under one roof. We have a wonderful early alert tool that helps us to identify if and when students are struggling, lets us communicate as a community to know who needs us and then the ways that they need us. So a lot of that happens under the CSS umbrella. We also work in close partnership with the academic schools and departments to make sure that we're carrying out what the mission of the academic side of the house is. So we stay with our students. Our student success coordinators are assigned to students from before they come to the university all the way through graduation. And the reason that we do this is that so that you have a relationship and a person to lean on, but also so that you're partnered with someone who's really an expert in what that curriculum looks like throughout your time on campus, but also somebody that you can really springboard any other concerns that you might have, whether they're financial, academic, mental health, fitting in, all of those sorts of things that are all part of the transition that we call college and the college experience. And so I'm grateful to be here today to introduce some of my close colleagues and friends that will help to make this transition ever more smooth for you. So I'll introduce first on my team, Cathy Houghton, who works with the Exploratory Majors. So giving it to you, Cathy.
Thanks, Molly. My name is Cathy Houghton. I am the success coordinator for the Exploratory Majors. I've been in this position about 6 years, and I've been at Point Park for more than 20. So I know the ropes around here. I know most of the people around, and so I feel like I'm pretty well positioned to help you find your way as you start exploring. So what'll happen first is you'll have your first semester schedule, and which I've created for you, which there might be some questions about that. And then we'll work as we get into registration for spring semester. You'll start thinking about what you might want to be looking at in terms of exploring a major, where you want to go, what you want to do, and I'll be helping you with those steps along the way. So that's me.
And Dr. Brown.
Hello, everyone. I am Josie Brown. I'm the Dean of the School of Arts and Sciences at Point Park. And unlike everyone else here, I've only been here for a second. I've only been here since July 1st, but it's been an awesome first 2 semesters at Point Park. In Arts and Sciences, we are the home for criminal justice and intelligence studies, literature, culture, and society, natural science engineering, psychology, and the exploratory students. And I'm really excited this year, we're going to be offering all of our exploratory students a 1-credit course that is going to match you with one of our master students in our community psychology program, who will support you both in your transition to finding a major, but also the transition to university and college life, which can be challenging, particularly with some time management, other issues, homesickness. So we're going to set up a support system for you to help you as you transition to Point Park. And when I'm not in the dean's office, I'm an English professor, I'm a blurred, I'm a Black nerd, I love to read. And so that's what I often do when I'm not in the dean's office.
Love it. Thank you, Molly, Cathy, and Dr. Brown for introducing yourselves. Oh, you've earned the doctor though. But thank you all for being here, and thank you for the attendees. The format of this webinar is pretty simple. The opening part here was a mechanism for us to introduce ourselves, give you some semblance of the people that you'll be working with, the support systems that are here at Point Park. But the other part of this webinar was to create an engagement opportunity for you to talk to us and ask any questions that you have, big or small, because really at the end of the day, there's a lot of questions and there's a lot of support that the Center for Student Success can provide, that the deans and faculty members can provide as well. So this is going to be your opportunity to ask any questions, and we'll also filter in some common questions that we get asked and kind of expand on that a little bit so that you can have a pretty well-rounded experience here, whether it's something that you want to know or just questions that we're used to getting. So if you want to participate in the question and answer portion of this, it's pretty simple. First of all attendees, your webinar or your webcams are not on and your audio is not on. So you don't have to worry about being on camera or anything like that. If you want to ask a question, in the GoToWebinar control panel, you will see a tab that says questions. You can pop it open, create your own window, and then you can ask a question in there. I will moderate the questions and then ask our panel here to expand. I will not say any names, so any questions you throw in will be anonymous to just me, and we'll keep it that way. So as we start to go through, and hopefully there's some questions out there, I'm going to go ahead and just toss a question right at Cathy to get us started on a question I'm sure a lot of students probably have. Cathy, I know you mentioned that you have created schedules for all incoming freshmen coming into the university. Where might a student see that schedule or get more information on it?
In Point Web, which is the student portal. That's the portal through which you'll get all your information as a student. You should have received the login for that when you got your admissions packet. I'm not as good at all the getting to Point Web. So maybe Angelo, you can throw up that information for us on the screen.
Already did.
But what you would do is go to Point Web, and then you'll find the student tab, and then you'll go to, I think it's course schedule. There's a lot of stuff in there, course schedule. You can look at like pretty much your whole picture in there. And so if you need help and you can't access that, we recommend that you contact the help desk to get access. You did get login information with your original admissions packet. It might be in your spam. So you can always look back at that, or you can contact the help desk if you need that.
Awesome.
And just know it's the same login information for your email address and for Point Web. So we have the login information remains the same across those platforms. So whatever you receive for your email login and information replicates in the Point Web system.
Can I ask Cathy to do a follow-up? If I look at my schedule and I have a particular area of interest, but I don't have that opportunity in the fall and I'd like to change a class, are you the person I reach out to do that?
Yes, if a student wants to change their schedule at this point, the best thing to do is email me, and Angelo will throw up email addresses on the screen too. Email me, we can make adjustments. Usually the way we approach scheduling in the first semester is if you've picked a major, there might be some particular courses you need to take. For exploratory students, the way I do it is you either take English 101 or Comm 101, that's public speaking, one of those two, and University 101. Everyone has to take University 101. There is a dedicated section of University 101 for exploratory majors. If you're an honor student, you'll be in an honor section. If you would happen to be a foundation student, you'd be in a foundation section of University 101. So those two courses are going to be in your schedule. We can't change those. We might be able to adjust times on a limited basis. The rest of the courses that you are in are basically thematic core courses. There are 10 thematic core courses that students take over their time at the university. So you'll be in core courses. And those pretty much apply to every major, give or take. If you have a strong interest in something, contact me. We can take a look at what's available and try to shift a course into something that you're interested in. We do have to respect prerequisites though. You can't jump over a bunch of prerequisites or anything, but we can do our best to match your first semester schedule with your interest.
Now, a question that I'm sure will be brought up throughout this process as the goal, and correct me if I'm wrong here, friends, but the goal of an exploratory major is to end up, selecting a major, diving in pretty confident head first and moving forward accordingly. So how would a student go about that process once they have, taken the classes that, maybe you're up front here in the fall, and they start to get connected to the university and the faculty and really start to feel out what they want? How would they go about changing that major, Cathy?
Can I let me just talk a little bit about what happens in University 101, because I think that's probably maybe a little bit of a precursor to deciding on the major. So one thing that is available to students who are exploring their major within the University 101 designated section is an opportunity to kind of see what the university has to offer. And we do that in a couple of ways. So we bring the majors to you. So we have a couple of panel sessions where you're really introduced not only to what you might find on the web, but also to the stories of the faculty and the academics who represent those disciplines and how they found their way and how their students have found their way. And let me tell you, that's not often a linear path, but often one that zigzags and picks a little bit of this and a little bit of that and decides that they don't really like that after being told that that's something that, oh, you should make $1 million doing this. So all of those things happen, right? So and especially in the first year, and sometimes, though we caution against this, all the way through the junior year, because this really is a transformative period in your lives, and we are here to support that. We're not here to carry out what your mom and dad told you a good, stable job was going to be. We're not here to force you into one career path versus another. And that's really the spirit of your first semester. So Junie Cheney, who is a panelist on this call, will be your instructor in your University 101 course for undecided students. Again, you'll be introduced to all of the departments and the majors, what students do, what careers they map to, how to be non-traditional and adaptive, and to develop the skills and not necessarily the specific major, but like, what does it mean to be a continuous learner in a landscape that's going to require you to continuously learn? And so we talk about that both in University 101 and now as this new companion piece, the addition of an additional 1 credit helps us to also like address what that feels like, because there's a lot of stress that goes on in just feeling like a lot of money is being spent and I don't know what I want to do with that. And so this is really a good opportunity in that first semester to get grounded and feel safe and know that that's the perfect space and mind frame to be in, you know, to be wide open, to be uncertain, to not have it figured out is exactly where you should be. And anybody who tells you they're in a different spot, probably 85% of those students are lying. Because it's probably about 15 that really are going to go on that linear path and carry out exactly what they thought they were always going to do.
And I think also just to add, with the 1 credit course, we want to personalize it. So if you're interested in psychology, we're going to connect you with a psychology professor and psychology students in the majors who can talk to you about what their experiences are with classes, with internships. And oftentimes you'll find that regardless of what your interests are, sitting in a classroom with a professor who's great at what they do can inspire you to what you want to study. So this is all about developing you as an individual. I'm sure all of us on the screen remember when we were 17, 18 years old, and we thought we had certain ambitions, which might not be who we are today or what we're doing today. So we're here to help support you. We understand that as a 17, 18-year-old, trying to decide what you want to do for the rest of your life it's not an easy go.
Awesome. Thank you, Molly and Josie, for expanding a little bit on that. And I'm a little more new to like some of these new initiatives that the Exploratory Majors taking on. It just sounds phenomenal. It seems very like personalized and a really awesome tool to help people kind of figure it out. I know I changed my major 3 times before I landed on what I wanted, and my major still wasn't what I ended up doing. So this sounds like something I could have benefited from. All right, so getting back to that question then, as you go through like some of the University 101 modules and this 1 credit course, you know, at some point you're going to want to change out of the exploratory major and then into your chosen field of study. So Cathy, what is that process for a student when they get to that point?
The process at that point is pretty straightforward. Just contact me, let me know what major you want to change into. We'll do the paperwork, and then you'll be assigned perhaps a new CSS coordinator. I do advise other majors, but you'll get a new CSS coordinator, or you'll stay with me depending on what you choose. You'll have a faculty advisor in your new major, and pretty much it's a pretty straightforward process at that point. I don't think I missed any piece of that.
No, but Molly, I'm hoping maybe you could expand a little bit on something Cathy mentioned. So there's a potential that once they elect a new major that they could be aligned with a new success coordinator. Can you maybe touch on that, on why that change may occur and the benefit that they would have from working with somebody else, even if they've established you know, a working relationship with Cathy?
So one of the things that I can say in the CSS is that there's a lot of just institutional knowledge. So we have a lot of folks that have been at the university and also have advised in a number of different majors and a number of different schools. So we have a good handle on what we're doing and a good handle of where your credits can work best. And so sometimes you know, one of the things when you're exploring to think about is that there's a benefit. There's a benefit to declaring and figuring it out early, and there can be a benefit of just saying like, no, I'm going to take my time and really figure this out. So, and I'll explain how that happens. One of the wonderful things about many of our majors at Point Park is that you do have a lot of flexibility in the number of credits that you have available to you to play with. So some students are extremely strategic in the way that they use those elective credits. So, they might be doing a major in sports art entertainment management, but want to really demonstrate a unique skill set. So they pick a minor in a communications field. And there are all sorts of examples of where students are combining areas of interest, areas of passion, and also supporting fields that might help them to get a job in an industry, and then they're trying to find their specific role. And so I'm finding that, and especially with this generation of students, and particularly as it relates to post-pandemic life, it's like a blank canvas, and it's kind of asserted itself as a little bit of every person for themselves. And so the students are coming to us with a clear understanding of what they want and what they don't want, and are building the major and the experience that they want. And that can be done in a number of different ways. For some students, who are willing to potentially work over the summers or add a little bit of time, maybe there are 2 majors that speak to a specific career aim. Sometimes it's a major and a minor, that might be intentional, or you might be a person that gets a little bit further on in their education and makes a decision. And, let me tell you, all is not for loss. Education is good. Coursework is good no matter what it is. And so some of the conversations that you can have with Cathy are really related to how do we take what you've done and make some sense of that. We also have an interdisciplinary studies major, which is becoming more popular with students who are multi-interested. So the notion of an exploratory major is often mischaracterized as somebody who just is coming to college and they have no idea what they want to do. And that's not often the case. A lot of times you have just insanely curious, inquisitive, multi-interested folks like Molly McClelland who can't make a decision, or don't want to pin themselves in or paint themselves into a corner. That's more the experience with exploratory majors. I also think that we're kind of leaning more and more into that direction with most students, that, if I'm paying for an education, I want to make sure that I'm building the experience because I now know. And when students make that claim, whether that's in their freshman year or in their senior year, when they make that claim, we want to make sure that they're situated properly with the classes that they need to take to demonstrate on the other side of this that they do in fact have those competencies. And I think that's where I'm excited, especially going into this year, is that there's a renewed synergy between the Center for Student Success and Arts and Sciences, and just a more cohesive plan that gets students engaged with faculty across the university to ensure that there's exposure, because you can't know until you know, right? You can't pick until you're made aware of all of the things that are available to you. And that's our commitment as a university.
Now, Josie, I was wondering if you could expand a little bit on faculty advisors. Cathy had mentioned that students will have kind of like a double team effort here, right? With the success coordinators on the staff side and faculty advisors on the faculty side. What is the vision of the faculty advisor? And are there like a select group of these faculty, like who might be some names maybe that they would see popping up as their faculty advisor?
So for me, the faculty advisor, and I'm a little biased here, is perhaps one of the most important connections you can make at the university. So your faculty advisor will help you with driving your academic career. What is your interest? What are you passionate about? What are the classes that you should take? who should you take it with? And also, what internships can you do that can reinforce your education, and what can you do with that education? So whether you want to go on and work right outside of university, or if you want to go to grad school, your faculty advisor would be the person who will guide you that way. And I think there are lots of people out there who are really good at it. And one of the things that Molly and I are committed to is making sure that you are connected to the faculty who are good at this. We all know that we all have skill sets, and not everyone is good at everything. And so we're really making an effort this year to make sure that we're connecting our exploratory students with very specific people. So I'm actually handpicking the faculty in arts and sciences, Professor Gurman, Schultz. There are lots of them who are good at this, who will be assigned to you as faculty advisors. And these are individuals who will be available on campus to meet with you. And the important thing to remember is that your faculty advisor is not just going to talk to you about your classes. You're having a bad day, come to my office, go to Molly's office, go to your faculty advisor. We're here to support you as a whole person, not just as a student. So your faculty advisor is really a connection to the university, but it's an individual connection.
Thank you, Josie. And to kind of expand off of something that you said, and there's also a question in the chat that I think comes together nicely. Josie, you mentioned how like these faculty advisors could help students locate or be inspired to go towards certain like internships and stuff like that. But beyond even the faculty advisors, we have an entire career readiness center that can assist with that as well. So this is kind of like a two-part question. Number one, in theory, can an exploratory major do an internship to help them determine what direction they want to go, and at what point can students start exploring internship opportunities? As I'm seeing your head shake yes that they can.
Yes. So part of this 1 credit course will be to get our exploratory students into some occupational space. We really want to look at whether it's a co-op, whether it's an internship, whether it's shadowing someone. If you express an interest to us, we're going to make it happen within your first or second semester, or even your second year. And internships, I think when people think about internship, they think about, I'm going to go to this opportunity and fall in love with my future career. And for me, internships are a way of testing out situations. And I'll use my daughter as an example. My daughter, when she went to college, was like, I'm going to change the world. And I was like, go girl, you change the world. And so she started out with very specific, like, I'm going to do sociology. And she took a sociology class and was like, what is this? I don't think I want to do this. And so we got her into internships. And what was great about the internship experience was she recognized that this was not for me. And so we really want to use internships as a positive way of helping to refine what you are interested in. And so you may go to a co-op, you may shadow someone that you think, like, for example, a lot of folks come to me and say, I want to be a pharmacist because pharmacist makes lots of money. And then they go and shadow a pharmacist and realize, like, I don't want to do that. So we do want to get internship co-op experiences as soon as possible, because it's a way for you to figure out what your fit is, what you're comfortable with, what you're happy with, and what you want to do.
And can these internships, can they be for college credit then, that kind of get thrown into the exploratory major, or I would assume that at some point potentially transfer over into the degree that they choose? Is that a possibility?
Yes, they can be for college credit. And actually for that 1 credit course that we're developing, we're working directly with Career Readiness, which is our career center on campus. And so we will connect students directly with that office to help them find opportunities that can be for credit.
And Molly, I know that you've had a lot of collaboration with the Career Readiness Center. They share a floor with you for now until their new center opens, hopefully at some point in the Student Center. Do you have any insights or information you'd like to share about the Career Readiness Center, from the resources they provide, or anything like that?
I always say to them, they're conveniently located on the way to the restroom. So yes, I see them a lot. I see them a lot, and I'll tell you, you want to talk about people who nerd out about the formats of a resume and what the market is looking for, or, you know, how to signal, test the waters, promote yourself on platforms like LinkedIn. I mean, they're really remarkable at getting you to understand how to brand yourself, but also how to recognize. So if you start your resume process early, they're incredible at helping you to see some of the gaps so that you're building an experience along the way that gives you something cohesive at the end. So the goal is not to start at day one with a final product, but to utilize career readiness as a way to help you as you learn more about yourself to add on different facets. So one of the strategies that I've used as someone who just hasn't always known, I thought I was going to be an orthopedic surgeon, then I went into environmental science, then I came and actually started to work at Point Park and got my certification to teach in middle school. So I myself move around, but the one thing that I think is sage advice is to always be talking about the way to make a turn, so what is it that I can be developing within my current experience that helps me to pivot? And so in the undergraduate experience, some of that might be in just developing a skill set, whether it's, becoming a strong writer, speaker, presenter, all of those things that matter no matter what career you go into, but also, understanding that this collection of different experiences, volunteer work, project management, if you can get involved in like building something or building an event on campus, event management. I mean, there's so many opportunities within the campus and in actual experiences for credit that are part and parcel to this experience. And I think that their work is to just make sure that they're consistently building relationships and that students know that that's the resource that they go to really explore what's going on. But they're also a big part of the conversation in what we're trying to figure out in ways to continue to develop this programming that's specific to exploratory majors. So, sometimes, you've grown up in a specific household, a specific environment many times for this whole portion of your life, and you don't know what's available to you. You don't necessarily know even what you value or what matters. So, it's sometimes it's building from the floor up. It's just taking inventories and they have a number of them to help students to just start kind of peeling back and figuring out what am I good at, what matters to me, and what am I interested in. And so sometimes that's just that very basic level, and those connections will be made for exploratory majors also within that first semester, within our University 101 class, and also within the one credit course that Josie describes.
Awesome. Thank you for that. We have a question that popped into the chat. Cathy, I'm going to toss this your way. I took AP classes in high school. How will these be reflected in my fall schedule?
The university usually receives AP scores around mid-July. And once we get the list of the AP scores, we will adjust your schedule, reflecting the credit that you brought in for AP. I encourage you to always double check your schedule as we get closer and closer to the start of the semester, just to make sure everything looks in order. But we're aware of the AP scores and we do track those. So it should all be taken care of, but I always say, trust but verify. So make sure it's there. And remember, we have the first week of the semester to make schedule changes. So if something doesn't seem right the first week of the semester, check with me and we can make those adjustments. But that's how AP scores are handled. Mid-July, we should start seeing them.
Thank you,
get
Cathy.
every credit. So if that first week you're sitting in a class and you say, this seems remarkably familiar, that's what Cathy is talking about. Like, definitely, this costs, every credit costs. And that's the importance of seeking guidance. And what I try to say to all students, family support systems, when I meet with them, even prior to making the decision to come to Point Park, is the students who ask questions, the students who are willing to just take that very small risk. And I'm telling you, it's a calculated risk within this space, because we've heard so much. We have members on our team that have been working in higher education for 30+ years. There's a whole lot of knowledge and a whole lot of students who have closed the doors and cried and said, you've never heard this before in life. And, we walked in, and I've probably been that crier more times than I can count. So this is what we do. And there is no question that seems silly. Often students that sit with their questions end up, causing larger issues. So if something doesn't feel right, you feel like you've already taken it, you feel like this isn't the right fit, you're having second guesses, or you're feeling like this got me really jazzed up. Whatever, on the positive side, hey, I was at a party and I got into this conversation with somebody and they're studying this, or they've been volunteering here. I mean, that's the real life that's going to happen to you, we hope, at college. And if you're not finding your people, and you're not finding even friendships and connections, we're here to help with that too. But so much of this is an evolution of self, and that's the point of college. So as you are exploring, talk out loud. The elevator pitch at Point Park couldn't be any more real. So we're an urban campus. You will stand in the line for an elevator for more hours than you ever calculated in your existence. In that elevator, talk about what you're passionate about. Talk about what interested you in a class or where you had a conversation. The likelihood of you bumping up to somebody that says, I know somebody you should talk to, is so commonplace in a small university like Point Park. And I think that that's why we're special, and that's what students expect. And so we want to make sure that that's happening for you as well. So be present with your questions, make them available. I watched this movie with my kids called We Bought a Zoo with Matt Damon, and one of my favorite lines is that his brother tells him is that, everything in life takes 20 seconds of courage. And so getting that question out, as scary as it might be, it's like 20 seconds of the horror of having the courage to say what it is, for the trade-off of the unexpected. And we're here really excited to help, to be part of that unexpected, and part of you writing your next chapter at Point Park.
Angela,
Molly,
can I follow up on that last question a minute? Because you had, the question was about AP scores. I want to just follow up. If you had taken college and high school, like a dual enrollment situation, where you might have taken a university course or courses, make sure that you have your transcript sent to Point Park from the institution where you earned the credits. I think that's pretty much the way it's done, is we need to see the transcript from where you went. It doesn't automatically show up. So you're going to need to send that. That comes in a different spot than the AP scores. But so again, I would encourage you, if you've taken something, let me know. There's no harm ever in emailing me to ask a question. You can email me at 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm not looking at it till the morning, but email me with questions. That's the best way to not suffer. Never suffer in silence. That's my motto. Ask the question. So
Cathy,
you want to get all those credits. Sure.
Can I ask a quick question? So what score do I need to get on the APs for it to count at Point Park? And if I got college and high school, what grade do I need on those courses for them to transfer in?
A C is what's needed to transfer.
Okay.
Is that not correct? I think it's a C across the board.
And for AP scores, what am I looking for?
Scores, I thought it was a 3. But
It's a 3,
I think it's a chart.
And then there's some difference
variations
in the English, because the English AP can serve kind of 2 different credits. So you can get credit for literature or composition, and so they look a little bit more closely at the English score. But anything that you've taken, that if it's an AP history at a 3 or higher, we're evaluating that for college credit. All of those scores too, they need to be coded and sent to Point Park from the College Board. The scores should be sent to us. And again, I think that some students assume, when, as Cathy was describing, when they're talking about college and high school, that the high school transcript, because they're often credited to the high school that they've been taking math someplace else, we still need to see the transcript directly from the college as opposed to the high school.
Now, we're doing webinars for all the different schools here and colleges at Point Park, and we did one last week with the School of Com, and there was a topic brought up that I want to bring back into this webinar and see if any of you have any advice. There was a student who had asked about kind of connecting with the community, whether it's with their peers, faculty, staff, getting involved, stuff like that. We talked a lot about like student organizations and clubs. The School of Comms specifically, I know, has like some clubs that are associated with their majors. Josie, is it similar in that way with arts and sciences? Is there an exploratory kind of student organization or club that students could look for? Or what advice do you have in that space for students to get involved and meet other people?
So we don't currently have an exploratory club, but if it's something you want, come to us and we will create one. But there are clubs tied to most of our majors. So if you're interested in criminal justice, there's a club for that. There's psychology. And even if you're not a major, but you're interested in that field, you can still be a part of it. And one of the things that we're doing is that we're actually getting our students together and competing against other schools. So this past spring, we had a lovely dodgeball tournament, School of Arts and Sciences versus the School of Communications, and Arts and Sciences won, so that says a lot. So we are trying to get our students together socially as well. We, in Arts and Sciences, twice a year, so each semester we bring all our students together with their faculty advisor, have a social. So there are ways to meet each other, and the academic clubs are a great opportunity, as well as our non-academic clubs.
Molly, Cathy, do you have anything else that you want to throw out there for people as like words of wisdom of whether it's breaking out of their shell or other opportunities that you all both know from being at Point Park to just kind of help people acclimate into the Point Park community? Cathy, do you have anything? It looks like Molly.
I'll throw something out there. And this seems a little maybe premature, but one of the things that I would advise, again, I'll go back and say, email me if you have questions, even at this point. If you looked at your schedule and you don't understand it, or you don't know what it means, or how those courses fit, just send me an email. We can always talk on the phone if we want, or Teams, however you want to do it. But the other thing I would say in general is when you get into your classes in your first week, give your classes a chance. Like embrace the classes you're in. Don't say in the first 5 minutes or the first day, I don't want to be in this. At least give it a week, give it a couple times. I think that's one of the things just across the board for all the years I've worked in higher ed and worked with students in a lot of different capacities. That openness to kind of like letting yourself kind of swim in the material is really a good way to just start being a little more like finding what it is you love and finding what it is you need out of school and in life. So like embrace the opportunity to take the classes, and try to enjoy them, read the syllabus.
That would be very helpful, please.
Read the syllabus, look at the learning management site. We're transitioning to Canvas, so look at the Canvas site. Try to enjoy the experience of the class you're in. You do have to, there's boredom in college, but you can make yourself not be bored if you just embrace that experience. Every class is its thing, and you want to get the most out of it.
Molly, did you want to jump in with anything? I think you're muted, Molly. Or maybe not. I can't hear you. Cathy, Josie, can you hear her? No?
No.
Okay. Doesn't look like you're muted either, Molly. I'm good at reading lips. Here, let me see if I can say and transcribe what you're saying. No. While Molly's figuring that out, can't hear it.
Yeah, while Molly's figuring out, let me just say one of the most important things that I feel about the college experience is that be okay being uncomfortable. Whether you're in a classroom, whether you're in your dorm, no matter where you are on campus, be okay with being uncomfortable. Because if you're uncomfortable, it means that you're learning, you're growing, you're challenging. And you may sit in a class and say, wow, this is an uncomfortable feeling, but that's part of the learning process. So as you come on campus and you are expanding your wings, it is okay if you're uncomfortable at any time or any point, and reach out to someone, reach out to the person next to you, because if you're in a class and you're feeling uncomfortable, it's very likely that someone else is feeling the same way as well.
I really love that advice. I feel like that's something I could take for myself. I also feel like some of the better growth opportunities that I've had are when I felt uncomfortable like doing something, even like in my job here at Point Park. I remember for the first time like asking to teach a class. I was very uncomfortable doing that, and the first semester felt uncomfortable, but it was amazing, and now it's one of my favorite things to do. And so, yeah, that's really, really good advice. Thank you for that. Molly, do you want to try to, is your mic working now? I don't think so. That's okay. That's okay. We're nearing the back end of the webinar, and let me actually plug something while we're just 10 minutes out. There's going to be a survey at the end whenever this webinar concludes. I would encourage you to fill out the survey. It's only 3 questions, and it's just a mode for 2 things, really. One, for us to do better as we continue to do these kind of digital online events and Q&As. And the other is one of the questions in the survey will allow you to ask a question to us, and we will respond to it. So maybe you don't feel comfortable asking the question here in the webinar. That's more than fine. In that survey, if you fill it out, you will see that there's the ability to ask a question. Something that I want to say real quick is with 10 minutes to go, this is kind of like a last call for any questions that you may have for us to answer as we start to wind down. So just want to throw that out there. You can go into the Q&A and add a question if you have any as we start to wrap up things here today. But I also wanted to talk briefly about Pioneer Experience, which is something that hopefully you've gotten information on. A Pioneer Experience, just I want to say this, and I want to toss something to Josie and Cathy about it. But I hope that everybody's excited about Pioneer Experience, because I know that the people who are putting it on are excited, that the staff and faculty members who get to be part of it, and even those who aren't part of it, we're really excited for the start of the new academic year. So go into it with that same kind of energy and optimism, because it's really a time to get used to the campus, to meet your resources, to start hopefully making some friends, and to just break out of that shell and get ready for classes. Now, the question that I want to pose to Josie, Cathy, Molly, to whoever, is there anything specific at Pioneer Experience surrounding exploratory majors where they get to interact with faculty or anything like that that you're aware of right now?
I'm not aware of anything right now, but Molly would know if she can speak.
Can I speak?
Yes.
I don't know what, I just went down to some wormhole I couldn't get out of. So what's the question?
So by your experience, is there anything specific towards exploratory majors that might break them off? Or I maybe you could even expand on, like, I think there's an opportunity where they get to go and walk around the campus and go to different offices that they feel that they want to interact with, whether it's with CSS for schedule changes or whatever it is. Anything you want to weigh in on with Pioneer Experience?
And Molly, if there's nothing, let's make it happen.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's a really good opportunity for exploratory majors to kind of carve their own niche. So one of the things that may happen between now and the end of summer is that students finally have the courage to say out loud what it is that they want to study. So if that should happen to you, then let us know, and certainly you would go in the orientation sequence of a particular major. If you feel like you're kind of committed to 2 different areas and there are 2 things that are speaking very strongly to you, come and talk to us, and let's make sure that within that schedule, you're kind of following 2 areas so that you get to meet the faculty and some key folks in both of those areas. The other thing that does happen, which we haven't necessarily, we kind of wind down in May. We are super busy getting the schedules and everything ready in June, and then we start to really plan for what that orientation will look like. So there's an open canvas. So if there's time in that schedule for us to do some social things, to meet people, that's really a very important part about the orientation experience. So we should talk about making that happen for our exploratory majors as well.
Molly, if you've got an open canvas, then I'd like an ice cream social for the exploratory.
Okay. I like ice cream.
You need a moderator for for that. I know somebody who could
I've
totally
got
join.
you, Angelo. You're on board.
So we're about 7 minutes out from the webinar concluding, and right now our questions have dried up. So what I want to do is I want to throw out a last call for any final questions that you may have, and a reminder that there will be a survey when you exit the webinar. Please fill that out. It's 3 questions. One of the questions allowing you to ask us a question that maybe you didn't want to ask in the webinar, and that's more than fine. Somebody from the Center for Student Success will reply to you and give you an answer. So please take a moment to do that. But I do want to go back around the panel and just kind of give you all the opportunity to say any final last words, any words of encouragement, or anything that you think an exploratory major might want to take away from this webinar. So Josie, I'll let you kick this one off.
So I think that my message would be confident about your exploration. There's nothing wrong with being an exploratory student. There's nothing wrong with trying to find your way, testing the waters. And I think that we look at exploratory and we think, but in fact, I think exploratory is actually the way to go. 60% of college students change their majors. You're ahead of them because you're already exploring and you're not tying yourself to something specific. So be proud of this choice that you've made and come on board, and we're here to support you.
I love that. And like I said, I'll reiterate, I changed my major 3 times. And obviously I made it out alive, but I'm not gonna lie, there was a sense of dread every time I changed that major, where my credit's gonna transfer. Am I making the right decision? Like it almost felt taboo. Like I felt like because I made a decision on something, I should stick with it. And so truly, like, if I could go back and do it again, I feel like an exploratory major would probably be the thing that I would lean into, especially with how rapid industries are changing, especially after the pandemic. With technology right now, this could really be a leg up to let you figure out what's best for you and hit the ground running faster than anybody else. So I really appreciate that insight, Josie. Cathy, final thoughts from you.
I only changed my major once,
Oh,
but so just once. What I would just say is if you have any questions going forward while we're working through the summertime, contact me. You know, don't be afraid to ask questions at this stage. I'm happy to help. You know, I'm happy to help you talk about your schedule to kind of get you to where you want to be for your first semester. So that's that.
thank you, Cathy. And I just want to say something about Cathy. I used to work in the Center for Student Success before I moved into student affairs. And the first person that I officially met on my first day was Cathy. Our offices were next to each other. She was super welcoming, and I appreciate Cathy a ton. Just like really a really awesome person. And so you're all very lucky to have her as your success coordinator. And while I'm giving kudos, Molly also was the one who hired me into the Center for Student Success. So I got a lot of love for you, Molly. Any final thoughts that you want to
Keep
share?
them out of conduct too, Angelo. So I'm sorry we're not giving you good business.
That's okay.
What would I say? So the one thing that I think I failed woefully at was understanding the importance of a network. And so within the college campus, just knowing who the people are that are there to support you. So I think one of the greatest myths that people talk about in high school is when you get to college, you're on your own. There's not going to be anybody there to help you. It couldn't be further from the truth. And if that continues to get out there, we won't have a Center for Student Success. So we are there for that very reason, that there are people who are points of contact that are intentional for you to know that we exist so that we can help you in all of the things that can go right, wrong, or otherwise during your college experience. So, you know, we're closely connected, and some of the things that I also want to introduce before we leave, we do have a webinar on just the support arm of the Center for Student Success. So in July, on July 26th, we'll come back together in the evening and I'll introduce accessibility services and our director, Cole Eskridge, as well as Michael Elko, who oversees the tutoring, writing centers, and academic coaching, and also Hannah Colbert, who is our director of student intervention. And she's like the center of a web of services, both on campus and off campus, that help us to make sure that students are having their needs met from the most basic: housing, food, work, etc. How am I paying for this? On through you know, the more complicated questions of, you know, how do I create this collect this constellation of courses into something that speaks to, you know, what I've always dreamed of. So we're here for that whole continuum, and what we don't know, we ask. And you know, I think that the beauty is in the community, and it's just a great opportunity for us tonight to be able to welcome folks and introduce ourselves and put our faces out there as just part of the many people who will be here for you as you make these decisions the next 4 years.
Molly had mentioned the support services webinar that's on July the 26th. I've posted the link to register for that in the chat. So if you would want to join that, as Molly said, you'll get to meet Michael Elko, who's the Director of Tutoring Services, Hannah Colbert, who is the Director of Student Intervention, and Cole Eskridge, who is the Director of Accessibility Services. So definitely check that out. And the last thing I just want to say is, you know, from working in CSS and still collabing with all of you, it's like a family over there. So I think that it's a really amazing place for students at any stage, but especially for incoming freshmen, transfers. Like if you really feel like you need to find some people, some friends, people that will support you and help you through, it doesn't always have to be another college age student. It could be staff and faculty at the university as well. Yeah. So definitely keep that in mind. Visit the Center for Student Success, reach out to Josie, get connected to faculty, and get ready for an amazing experience here at Point Park. So here we are, 7 o'clock on the nose, like clockwork. I'm a master at emceeing and facilitating webinars. That is going to conclude things, but don't forget, there is a survey at the end. If you have any extra questions, push them there and we will get back to you. Otherwise, thank you everybody for joining. Thank you, Josie, Molly, Cathy, for being panelists. And if anybody ever needs me, my office is on the 7th floor of the Student Center. Come and visit. I'd be glad to be a friend and a support to you as well. Have a great summer. Be safe. We will catch everybody in the fall. Love you.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
everyone.